The ballroom goes silent, not the polite kind of quiet that follows a champagne toast. This is the absolute breath-holding silence of 400 people watching a train wreck in real time. "I said clean it up, girl." Victoria Whitmore's voice cuts through the Mandarin Oriental's grand ballroom like a blade. "Or do I need to call your manager and have you removed?" The woman is standing over a 19-year-old black girl in a silver evening gown, pointing at a spilled drink on the marble floor. Victoria's diamonds catch the chandelier light a $2.4 million necklace, according to Vanity Fair's feature from last month. Her face is twisted in disgust. The girl doesn't move. "Are you deaf?" Victoria's voice rises. "I'm talking to you. Phones are already out. At least 80 people are recording. This moment is being live-streamed to 12,000 viewers on 3 different social media platforms." The girl in the silver dress looks up slowly. Her eyes are calm, terrifyingly calm. She opens her mouth to speak. And Victoria Whitmore has absolutely no idea that in exactly 47 minutes, her family's $750 million real estate deal will be dead. Her son's career will be over. And their name will become a cautionary tale taught in business ethics classes for the next decade. But first, we need to go back to where this really started, 4 hours earlier. Maya Richardson stood in her childhood bedroom in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, staring at the silver dress hanging on her closet door like it belonged to someone else. It did, technically. Her mother had worn it to her own college graduation 23 years ago. The alterations had cost $40 at the corner tailor. Money Maya had earned tutoring calculus to 3 different high school students. "You don't have to go, baby." Her father's voice came from the doorway. Marcus Richardson, CEO of Titan Global Industries, was already in his tuxedo. At 52, he still had the bearing of the construction worker he'd been at 25. Broad shoulders, calloused hands, a way of standing that said he'd earned every inch of space he occupied. "Dad, we've been over this." Maya turned from the mirror. "You need a +1. Mom's in Seattle with Grandma. I'm literally the only option. It's a corporate gala, not a family reunion. These people," he paused, choosing his words carefully, "they're not always kind." Maya had heard this speech before, different versions of it anyway. From teachers who were surprised by her 1580 SAT score. From the guidance counselor who'd suggested community college instead of MIT. From the saleswoman at Bergdorf's who'd followed her around the store for 20 minutes before Maya bought a $300 scarf just to watch the woman's face. "I can handle it," she said. What she didn't say, she'd been handling it her entire life. Maya Richardson was 19 years old, 5'3", with natural hair she'd spent 2 hours coaxing into an updo that morning. She was halfway through her sophomore year at MIT, studying computer science and applied mathematics. Her GPA was 3.97. The only A- she'd ever received was in Introduction to Philosophy, and she was still bitter about it. But here's what mattered tonight. 3 months ago, working in her dorm room at 2 a.m. on a Red Bull in spite, Maya had created an algorithm. A beautiful, elegant piece of code that could analyze commercial real estate portfolios and predict property values with 94.7% accuracy, better than any existing model on the market. She'd sent it anonymously to her father's company, not because she wanted credit, not because she needed validation, but because Titan Global was bleeding money on bad property assessments, and she couldn't watch her father stress himself into an early grave. The algorithm had worked, better than worked. It had identified $340 million in undervalued properties across the Northeast Corridor, and $200 million in overvalued assets that Titan Global had been about to acquire. It had also caught the attention of Whitmore Properties, the biggest real estate dynasty in Manhattan. The family that owned 47 buildings across New York City, 12 in Boston, 8 in Philadelphia. The family that could trace their wealth back to actual Gilded Age robber barons. They wanted Titan Global's algorithm, wanted it badly enough to offer a $750 million merger deal. Tonight's gala was supposed to finalize it, and absolutely nobody, not the lawyers, not the board members, not even her father, knew that the anonymous M. Richardson, who'd created the algorithm, was a 19-year-old girl who'd learned to code from YouTube videos in the Crown Heights Public Library. "Ready?" her father asked, offering his arm. Maya took it. Her hands were steady. She had no idea that in 3 hours she'd need every ounce of that steadiness. The Mandarin Oriental ballroom was exactly what Maya expected: excessive. Crystal chandeliers that probably cost more than her entire neighborhood's annual property tax. Champagne fountains, a 12-piece orchestra. Waitstaff in white gloves carrying trays of hors d'oeuvres that cost $40 per bite. "Stay close," her father murmured as they entered. "I'll introduce you to Marcus," a booming voice cut through the chamber music. "There's the man of the hour." Conrad Whitmore strode toward them like he owned the place. Which, technically, the Whitmore family had a 60% stake in the Mandarin Oriental's commercial real estate holdings. He was 68 years old, silver-haired, with the kind of tan that came from yacht vacations and ski chalets. His tuxedo probably cost $8,000. His watch definitely cost $85,000. Maya had seen the same Patek Philippe model in a finance magazine. "Conrad?" Her father shook his hand, professional, warm but not familiar. "Good to see you. And who is this lovely young lady?" Conrad's eyes swept over Maya with the practiced assessment of a man who'd spent his entire life evaluating assets. "My daughter, Maya." "Maya, this is Conrad Whitmore." "Charmed." Conrad took her hand. His grip was firm, possessive. "And what do you do, dear?" "I'm a student." "Ah, wonderful." "Which finishing school?" Maya's smile didn't waver. "MIT, computer science." Something flickered across Conrad's face. Surprise, maybe, or doubt. He recovered quickly. "How?" "Ambitious." He released her hand. "Marcus, we need to discuss the final contract terms. Victoria and Chase are around here somewhere. They're eager to meet you." Her father glanced at Maya. "I'll be fine," she said. "Go." She watched him disappear into the crowd, then made her way to the edge of the ballroom. Found a spot near the floor-to-ceiling windows where she could observe without being observed. This was Maya's superpower: invisibility, not the comic book kind, the sociological kind. The kind that came from being young, black, and female in spaces that expected her to be none of those things. She watched the room, noted the power dynamics, who deferred to whom, who laughed too loud at unfunny jokes, who stood close to the bar, and then she saw them: Victoria Whitmore, Conrad's wife. Early 60s, surgically enhanced, dripping in jewelry that could fund a small nation's GDP. She was holding court near the champagne fountain, surrounded by a cluster of women in designer gowns. Next to her, Chase Whitmore, their son, 31 years old, heir apparent to the Whitmore empire, Harvard MBA, 3 failed startups funded by family money. A face that had never encountered the word no. He was laughing at something on his phone, showing the screen to his mother. Maya couldn't hear what they were saying. She had no idea they were about to change the trajectory of her entire night. The first warning came at 8:47 p.m. Maya was still by the windows, checking her phone. A text from her roommate at MIT. "Did you finish the problem set? Zhao is going to murder us if we're late." She was typing a response when she felt it, that prickle on the back of her neck. The sensation of being watched. She looked up. Chase Whitmore was staring at her from across the room. Not the way men usually looked at women at these events, that practiced, professional assessment of attractiveness. This was different, calculating, cold. He whispered something to his mother. Victoria turned, her eyes locked on Maya, and then Victoria smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. Maya's stomach tightened. She'd seen that smile before. On the face of the department store security guard who'd followed her through Saks. On the face of her 10th grade teacher who'd accused her of cheating on a geometry test because there's no way you could have gotten a perfect score. Victoria started walking toward her. Maya stood straighter, chin up, shoulders back. The posture her father had taught her: never let them see you shrink. Victoria stopped 3 feet away, close enough to be confrontational. Far enough to maintain plausible deniability. "Excuse me." Victoria's voice was sugar over steel. "I don't believe we've met." "Maya Richardson." "Richardson?" Victoria's eyebrow arched. "Any relation to Marcus Richardson?" "He's my father." "Oh," the word dripped with false surprise. "How interesting." "And you're here as his guest?" "Yes, I see." Victoria's eyes traveled down Maya's dress, slowly, deliberately. "That's a lovely gown, vintage." The word was a weapon. Delivered with surgical precision. "It belonged to my mother," Maya said evenly. "How sentimental." Victoria's smile sharpened. "Though I must say, darling, it's rather." Informal for an event like this. Most of the young ladies here are wearing current season pieces. Chanel, Dior, Valentino. She gestured vaguely at the room. But I suppose not everyone can afford. Is there something I can help you with, Mrs. Whitmore? The temperature in the conversation dropped 10 degrees. Victoria's smile vanished. I'm simply making conversation, dear, though I must admit I'm a bit confused about your presence here. This is a business event, very high-level negotiations. Not really appropriate for, she paused. Children, Maya's hands clenched at her sides. I'm 19. Exactly my point. Nearby conversations were starting to quiet. People were noticing. Phones were shifting in their direction. Chase Whitmore materialized at his mother's shoulder. Up close, he smelled like expensive cologne and entitlement. Everything all right, mother? Oh, just getting acquainted with Marcus's daughter. Victoria said the word like it was in quotation marks. Chase looked Maya up and down. His eyes lingered too long on her neckline. Cute, he said. The help is getting younger every year. Maya's blood went cold. Excuse me, the catering staff, Chase clarified, his voice loud enough to carry. Though I have to say, the silver dress is a bold choice. Most of the waitresses stick to black and white. A gasp rippled through the nearby crowd. Victoria's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God, Chase, I don't think of course she is. Chase reached out and plucked an empty champagne glass from a nearby table, holding it toward Maya. Here. Make yourself useful. The ballroom was going quiet now, the kind of quiet that precedes disaster. Maya didn't take the glass. I'm not a waitress, she said. Her voice was steady, clear. Loud enough for the growing circle of onlookers to hear. Then what are you? Chase's smile was cruel. Because you're certainly not a guest. Guests at Conrad Whitmore's events don't wear. He gestured at her dress. Goodwill rejects. Someone gasped. Someone else laughed. Maya felt the familiar burn in her chest. The one that had accompanied every microaggression, every assumption, every moment someone had looked at her and decided she didn't belong. But she didn't move. I told you, she said quietly. I'm Marcus Richardson's daughter. Right, Chase's voice dripped sarcasm, and I'm the King of England. Look, sweetheart, I don't know who you think you're fooling, but a champagne glass crashed to the floor. Not thrown, just slipped from someone's hand in the crowd. But the sound shattered through the tension like a gunshot. Victoria jumped. Her hand jerked, her own glass tilted. Champagne splashed across the marble floor, some of it hit Maya's shoes. Oh, for God's sake! Victoria stared at the spreading puddle like it was a personal affront. Then she looked at Maya. Well, are you going to clean that up? Maya's heart was pounding. No, I'm sorry, I said no. Victoria's face hardened. Listen to me, young lady. I don't know what kind of game you think you're playing, but you are making a scene at a very important business function. Now either clean up this mess, or I will have security escort you out of this building. Phones were everywhere now. At least 30 people were recording. The number of live stream viewers had jumped to 15,000. Maya could see her father across the room, starting to turn in their direction. He'd heard the commotion. He was pushing through the crowd. She had maybe 30 seconds before he reached her. 30 seconds to decide who she was going to be. The invisible girl who smiled and nodded and let it slide, or something else entirely. Maya looked Victoria Whitmore directly in the eyes. I'm not cleaning anything, she said, and you should be very, very careful about your next words. Victoria's face went red. How dare you speak to me that way? Do you have any idea who I am? Victoria Whitmore, married to Conrad Whitmore, combined net worth of $3.2 billion. Majority stakeholder in Whitmore Properties, which currently owns 67 buildings across the Northeast Corridor and is in the process of negotiating a $750 million merger deal with Titan Global Industries. The color drained from Victoria's face. How do I pay attention? Maya said simply. Chase stepped forward, his face twisted with anger. Listen, you little, is there a problem here? Marcus Richardson's voice cut through the tension like a cleaver. He was standing at the edge of the circle, his expression carved from stone. Next to him, Conrad Whitmore, looking confused and increasingly concerned. Marcus! Victoria's demeanor shifted instantly. Sweetness flooded back into her voice. We were just having a small misunderstanding with one of the catering staff. That's my daughter. 4 words, quiet, absolute. The silence was deafening. Victoria's mouth opened, closed. Opened again. I'm sorry, what? Maya, my daughter, the one I mentioned I'd be bringing tonight. Marcus's eyes were ice. The MIT student. Chase had gone pale. Conrad was staring at his wife and son like he'd never seen them before. Oh my God! Victoria's hand flew to her chest. Marcus, I had no idea. We thought she was. I know exactly what you thought, Marcus said. The phones were still recording, every word, every facial expression. Every microsecond of Victoria and Chase's crumbling composure. Victoria's laugh was high and desperate. This is all just a terrible misunderstanding. We would never. Chase was just joking, weren't you, darling? Chase's jaw was clenched so tight Maya could see the muscles jumping. Of course, he ground out. Just a joke. A joke, Maya repeated. Her voice was soft, dangerous. You mistook me for catering staff, told me my dress was from Goodwill, demanded I clean up a spill, and threatened to have me removed by security. As a joke, we didn't know, you didn't ask. The words hung in the air. Conrad Whitmore cleared his throat. Perhaps we should all take a moment to know. Maya's voice was steady. I don't think we should. She looked at Victoria, then at Chase, then at the crowd of people still recording every second of this disaster. You want to know something interesting about assumptions? Maya asked. They reveal much more about the person making them than the person they're directed at. Victoria's face was turning red again. Now you listen here. No, you listen. Maya's voice didn't rise. Didn't need to. In the last 10 minutes, you've assumed I don't belong here. You've assumed I'm not educated. You've assumed I don't understand how business works. You've assumed my dress is cheap, my presence is inappropriate, and my very existence in this space is somehow fraudulent. She paused. You've made a lot of assumptions tonight, Mrs. Whitmore, this is ridiculous, Chase burst out. We're supposed to just stand here and be lectured by a. He stopped himself, but everyone heard the word he didn't say. Maya smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Go ahead, she said quietly. Finish that sentence. Chase's hands were trembling with rage or fear, Maya couldn't tell. You're going to regret this, he hissed. I don't think I am. Do you have any idea what my family can do? One phone call and your father's little company is finished. We'll pull out of the merger. We'll blacklist Titan Global from every real estate deal in the Northeast. We'll Chase. Conrad's voice was sharp. That's enough. But Chase was past listening. He was staring at Maya with pure hatred. You think you're so smart, don't you? Walking in here with your attitude and your... He gestured wildly at her. We were doing your father a favor. Titan Global is nothing without our family's connections. Nothing. And now because some affirmative action, Princess got her feelings hurt. Chase, Conrad roared. The ballroom went silent. Chase's chest was heaving. His face was flushed. He looked like a child caught mid-tantrum. Victoria was staring at her son in horror. Marcus Richardson's expression hadn't changed. But Maya could see the muscle jumping in his jaw. I think, Marcus said slowly, we're done here. He offered Maya his arm. She took it. They turned to leave. Wait, Victoria's voice was desperate. Marcus, please, let's not be hasty. This is all just a terrible misunderstanding. No, Marcus said without turning around. It's not. The merger will proceed without the Whitmore family's involvement. Conrad went white. Now, Marcus, let's think about this. I have. Marcus kept walking. Extensively. And I've decided that Titan Global would rather leave $750 million on the table than do business with people who treat my daughter, treat anyone like garbage. You can't be serious, Chase sputtered. You'd tank your own company over this? Marcus stopped, turned. Watch me. And then he and Maya walked out of the ballroom. Behind them, the crowd erupted. But here's the thing. Nobody in that room, not Victoria, not Chase, not Conrad, not even Marcus, understood what had just happened. They thought this was about hurt feelings, about pride, about a father defending his daughter. They had no idea it was about to get so much worse. The hotel hallway was blessedly quiet. Maya's hands were shaking now, adrenaline crash. She leaned against the wall, breathing carefully. You okay? Her father asked softly. Yeah, her voice came out steadier than she felt. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm so sorry, baby. I should never have, Dad. She looked at him. This isn't your fault. They had no right, I know. They stood in silence for a moment, then Marcus's phone buzzed. He glanced at it. His expression darkened. It's already online, he said quietly. 6 different videos, combined views are already over 100,000. Maya closed her eyes. Her father's phone rang. He answered. David. Yes, I know. No, I'm not reconsidering. Because David, listen to me, I don't care if the board is upset. I don't care if we lose the merger. There are some things more important than money. He listened. No, my decision is final. Draw up the termination papers for the Whitmore deal. I want them ready by Monday morning. He hung up. Maya stared at him. Dad, you can't kill a $750 million deal because of me. Watch me. The board will never forgive you. They'll get over it. He squeezed her shoulder. Some things matter more than business, Maya. You matter more. Her throat was tight. Behind them, the ballroom doors burst open. Conrad Whitmore strode out, his face red. Behind him, Victoria and Chase, both looking furious and terrified in equal measure. Marcus, please. Conrad's voice was urgent. Can we speak privately? I don't think we have anything to discuss. 5 minutes, that's all I ask. Marcus looked at Maya. She nodded. Fine, Marcus said. 5 minutes. They moved to a private alcove. Maya stayed in the hallway, close enough to hear. This has gotten completely out of hand, Conrad began. Victoria and Chase made a mistake. A terrible mistake, but surely we can work past this. Can we? Marcus's voice was ice. Because from where I'm standing, your family just publicly humiliated my daughter, on camera. In front of 400 people. Those videos are going viral as we speak. I know, and I'm mortified, are you? Or are you mortified that you're about to lose a $750 million deal? Silence. That's what I thought, Marcus said. Please. Conrad's voice cracked. Marcus, we've been working on this merger for 6 months. 6 months of negotiations, due diligence, legal review. We're 72 hours from signing. You can't throw that away over a he stopped himself. Over a what? Marcus's voice was dangerous. Choose your next words very carefully, Conrad. Over a misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding, it was racism. Your wife and son saw a young black woman in a ballroom and immediately assumed she was staff. And when she corrected them, they doubled down, tripled down. Your son threatened my entire company. He was upset. He called my daughter an affirmative action princess. The words echoed in the hallway. Victoria made a small, wounded sound. I didn't raise him to Conrad's voice broke. I don't know where he learned. Yes, you do, Marcus said quietly. You know exactly where he learned it, because this isn't about Chase. It's about a culture, a system, a way of thinking that says some people matter and some people don't, and I will not build my company's future on that foundation. Please, Conrad was begging now. Name your terms, whatever you want. We'll issue a public apology. We'll donate to charity. There's nothing you can offer me. Marcus, we're done here. Marcus turned to leave. And that's when Chase Whitmore made the biggest mistake of his life. You self-righteous prick. Everyone froze. Chase was standing in the hallway, his face twisted with rage. His phone was in his hand. You think you're so much better than us? You think you can just walk away from $750 million because your little girl got her feelings hurt? Chase, Conrad hissed. Shut up right now. But Chase was past listening. You're nothing, Richardson, you know that. Nothing, you came from nothing, you'll always be nothing. And the only reason Whitmore Properties even considered this merger was because of that algorithm. That beautiful piece of code that's going to make us all billions. Marcus's expression didn't change. I'm aware. Are you aware that we don't need you? Chase's smile was vicious. We need the algorithm. And once this deal is signed, once we have full access to your systems, your company is obsolete. We were going to gut Titan Global within 6 months anyway. Absorb the tech, fire the deadweight, sell off the assets. Victoria gasped. Chase, what are you? It's over, mother. He's already killed the deal. Might as well tell him the truth. Chase turned back to Marcus. So go ahead, walk away, tank your company over pride. We'll just reverse engineer the algorithm ourselves. 2 months, tops. And you'll have nothing. The hallway was silent. Marcus Richardson smiled. It was the most frightening smile Maya had ever seen on her father's face. Reverse engineer it, he said softly. I'd love to see you try. What's that supposed to mean? It means your entire plan was built on a foundation of air, because you can't reverse engineer something you don't understand. And you definitely don't understand that algorithm. Chase's smile faltered. I've seen the code, it's sophisticated but not impossible. You've seen the interface, the output. You haven't seen the actual algorithm, because it's not stored on Titan Global's servers. Conrad went very still. What? The algorithm exists in exactly one place, Marcus said. The personal laptop of the person who created it, and that person isn't a Titan Global employee. That's impossible, Chase sputtered. Your legal team confirmed that Titan Global owns all proprietary. Titan Global owns all proprietary technology created by its employees. This wasn't created by an employee. It was created by an independent contractor who submitted it anonymously and retained full intellectual property rights. The color was draining from Chase's face. You're lying, I'm not. Then who? Chase's eyes widened. No, no way, Marcus turned to Maya. Would you like to tell them, or should I? Maya stepped forward. Her hands weren't shaking anymore. My name is M. Richardson, she said clearly. I created the algorithm, I own the algorithm. And as of this moment, I'm revoking Titan Global's license to use it in any deals involving Whitmore properties. The silence was absolute. Victoria was staring at Maya like she'd grown a second head. Conrad looked like he'd been punched in the stomach. Chase's mouth was opening and closing like a fish. That's... You can't, Chase's voice was strangled. You're a kid, you're a college student. There's no way you created. Maya pulled out her phone, pulled up a file, turned the screen so Chase could see it. Lines of code, elegant, complex, beautiful. Line 847, she said. There's an error, a deliberate one. I embedded it 3 months ago as a signature. If you try to run the algorithm without correcting it, the whole thing crashes. And the error is written in a custom variant of Python that I developed myself. It doesn't exist anywhere else. She pulled her phone back. So go ahead, reverse engineer it. You have 2 months, you said. I'll give you 2 years. Hell, I'll give you 10. You'll never crack it. Chase was shaking. This is blackmail. No, Maya said calmly. This is consequences. Conrad found his voice. Miss Richardson, Maya, please, we can work this out. Name your price, we'll pay whatever. There is no price. Everyone has a price, not me. Maya looked at him steadily. You can't buy your way out of this, Mr. Whitmore. You can't donate to charity or issue a press release or throw money at the problem until it goes away. Because the problem isn't financial, it's fundamental. Please, no. Maya's voice was steel. You had a chance to treat me like a human being. You chose not to, now you get to live with that choice. She turned to her father. I'm ready to go. Marcus nodded. He looked at Conrad. At Victoria, at Chase. Gentlemen, ladies. His voice was formal, cold. This concludes our business relationship. My lawyers will be in touch regarding the termination paperwork. Wait. Victoria's voice was desperate. You can't do this. We have contracts. We have preliminary agreements, Marcus corrected. Which, as I'm sure your lawyers have informed you, contain a clause allowing either party to withdraw prior to final signing. We're exercising that clause. This will destroy us, Conrad whispered. No, Marcus said. It will inconvenience you. Destroy is what happens next. He walked away. Maya followed. Behind them, Chase Whitmore's voice rang out. This isn't over, you hear me. This isn't over? Maya didn't turn around, but she smiled, because Chase was wrong. It was already over, he just didn't know it yet. The car ride back to Brooklyn was quiet. Maya stared out the window, watching Manhattan blur into Brooklyn, the gleaming towers giving way to brownstones and corner bodegas. You should have told me, her father said finally. About the algorithm. I know. Why didn't you? Maya was quiet for a long moment. Because I wanted it to stand on its own, she said finally. I wanted people to judge it on its merit, not on who created it. I wanted. She paused. I wanted to prove I could do something that mattered. Without anyone making excuses for me or assuming I only succeeded because of you. Marcus was silent. I'm not angry, he said finally. I'm proud. Terrified but proud. Terrified? You just made some very powerful enemies, baby. They made themselves my enemies. Maya looked at him. I just decided to stop pretending otherwise. Her phone buzzed, then again, then it didn't stop buzzing. Maya looked at the screen. Twitter was exploding. Whitmore Gala was trending. Number 2 in the United States. Number 7 worldwide. The videos were everywhere from a dozen different angles. Victoria's sneer, Chase's threats, Conrad's desperation, Marcus's cold fury, and Maya. Calm, controlled, destroying them with quiet precision. The comments were brutal. This is what systemic racism looks like in 4K. Imagine being so entitled you don't even realize you're being recorded committing career suicide. Chase Whitmore really called her affirmative. Action princess, and thought he'd wake up tomorrow with a job El Mawu. The algorithm was HERS the whole time I'm screaming. Asterisk Maya scrolled through dozens of videos. Hundreds of comments, thousands of retweets. Then her phone rang, unknown number. She answered cautiously. Hello, is this Maya Richardson? A woman's voice, professional, urgent. Who's calling? My name is Jennifer Walsh. I'm a producer for 60 Minutes. We'd like to interview you about tonight's events. Maya blinked. What? The videos from the gala. They're everywhere. This is a massive story, racial profiling, corporate ethics, wealth inequality. We'd love to get your perspective on camera. I don't think we can tape tomorrow if you're available. Prime time slot, full editorial control over your segment. Maya looked at her father. He was watching her, eyebrows raised. Can I call you back? Maya asked. Of course, but Maya, you should know we're not the only ones calling. CNN reached out to your father's office 20 minutes ago. So did the New York Times and the Washington Post. This story is big, really big, and it's only going to get bigger. Jennifer hung up. Maya stared at her phone. Dad, I heard. Marcus's expression was complicated. This is your call, baby. You want to do interviews, I'll support you. You want to go silent, I'll support that too. Maya thought about it, about Victoria's sneer, Chase's threats, Conrad's assumptions. About every time someone had looked at her and decided she didn't belong. Wasn't smart enough, wasn't good enough, wasn't enough. She thought about the algorithm. The beautiful, elegant code she'd created. The thing that was supposed to save her father's company and instead became a weapon. And she thought about all the other girls like her. The ones who were told they didn't belong, who were assumed to be less than, who had to work twice as hard for half the recognition. I'll do it, she said. All of it, every interview. Every platform, Marcus nodded slowly. You sure? Yeah, Maya's voice was steady. I'm sure because this isn't just about me anymore. It's bigger than that. What is it about? Maya looked at her father. Accountability, she said simply. By midnight, the story had gone nuclear. The videos had 15 million combined views. Whitmore Gala was trending #1 worldwide. News outlets were running segments. Think pieces were being written, and the Whitmore family's world was crumbling. At 11:47 p.m., Whitmore Properties' official Twitter account posted a statement. We deeply regret the incident at this evening's gala. The behavior exhibited by members of the Whitmore family does not reflect our company's values. We are conducting a full internal review and will take appropriate action. The internet was not impressed. Appropriate action equals waiting for this to blow over, not your company's values. Just your family's values, got it. Y'all got caught in 4K and still can't apologize, right? At 12:15 a.m., the first advertiser pulled out. A luxury watch brand that had sponsored Whitmore Properties' annual charity gala for 12 years. At 12:34 a.m., the second, a private equity firm. At 12:58 a.m., a pension fund worth $400 million announced they were divesting from all Whitmore Properties holdings. The bleeding had started. Maya was in her bedroom, watching it happen in real time. Her phone rang again. Maya Richardson, speaking. This is Rebecca Chen from the New York Times. I'm writing a piece about algorithmic bias in real estate, and I understand you created. I'll talk to you, Maya said, but not about the algorithm. Not yet. What do you want to talk about? Everything else. The interview published at 6 a.m. The 19-year-old MIT student who brought down a real estate dynasty by Rebecca Chen * Maya Richardson is soft-spoken, deliberate, and exhausted. When we speak at 1 a.m. via video call, she's in her childhood bedroom in Crown Heights. I'm at the Times Manhattan office. She's still wearing the silver dress from the gala. Her natural hair has escaped its updo. She looks like any other college sophomore who stayed up too late studying. But Maya Richardson is not any other college sophomore. In the last 6 hours, she has become the face of a national conversation about race, privilege, and power. The videos of her confrontation with the Whitmore family, a real estate dynasty worth $3.2 billion, have been viewed more than 20 million times. Her name is trending on every social media platform. And the algorithm she created, the one that was supposed to revolutionize real estate assessment, has become a case study in who gets credited for innovation. I keep seeing tweets calling me an overnight sensation, Maya tells me. But I've been coding since I was 12. I've been dealing with people underestimating me since I was old enough to understand what that meant. Tonight wasn't overnight. It was overdue. The article was devastating. Rebecca Chen had done her homework. She'd traced Maya's academic record, her competition victories, her published research. She'd interviewed Maya's professors at MIT, all of whom praised her brilliance. She'd obtained documentation of the algorithm's accuracy rates 94.7%, better than anything else on the market. And she'd broken down, step by step, exactly how much money the Whitmore family was about to lose. The $750 million merger, dead. The subsidiary deals that depended on Titan Global's tech, dead. The licensing agreements they'd planned to sell to other firms, dead. Estimated total loss, $2.1 billion over 5 years. All because Victoria and Chase Whitmore couldn't see a young black woman in a ballroom and think guest instead of staff. The article ended with a quote from Maya that would be repeated for years. They didn't lose a business deal because of me. They lost it because they revealed who they were. I just made sure people were paying attention. The next 72 hours were a masterclass in consequences. Monday morning, Chase Whitmore was removed from his position as VP of Development at Whitmore Properties. The official statement called it a temporary leave of absence pending internal review. The unofficial statement from every news outlet: he'd been fired. Monday afternoon, 3 more major investors pulled out of Whitmore Properties' commercial portfolio. Combined withdrawal, $680 million. Monday evening, Victoria Whitmore stepped down from her position on the board of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The resignation letter was 2 sentences long and cited personal reasons. The Met's board accepted immediately. Tuesday morning, Conrad Whitmore held a press conference. Maya watched it from her dorm room at MIT. Her roommate, Priya, watched over her shoulder. Conrad looked like he'd aged 10 years. He stood at a podium in Whitmore Properties' corporate headquarters, flanked by lawyers. "I want to address the events of Saturday evening," he began. His voice was hoarse. "What happened at that gala was inexcusable. The behavior exhibited by my wife and son was wrong. Period. There is no context that makes it acceptable, no excuse that justifies it." He paused. Cleared his throat. "I have spent the last 3 days reflecting on how this happened. How my family, a family that I have tried to build on principles of integrity and respect, could act with such," he struggled for the word, "such cruelty," Priya snorted. "Bit late for soul-searching, buddy," Conrad continued. "I realize now that we have benefited from systems of privilege that I never adequately examined. We have moved through spaces where our presence was assumed, our authority unquestioned, our actions unchallenged. And that unearned comfort bred a kind of blindness. Is he seriously both sidesing racism right now?" Priya demanded. Maya shushed her. "Miss Richardson," Conrad said, looking directly into the camera. "Maya, I want to apologize to you, not because I'm trying to salvage a business deal or protect my family's reputation, but because you deserved better. You deserved basic human decency, and we failed to provide it." He paused. "I also want to acknowledge that this apology means nothing without action. Which is why I'm announcing the following changes to Whitmore Properties, effective immediately." He pulled out a sheet of paper. First, mandatory anti-bias training for all executives and board members, not a 1-hour seminar. A comprehensive, ongoing program developed in consultation with racial justice experts. Second, the establishment of a $50 million scholarship fund for students from underrepresented communities pursuing STEM degrees. The fund will be named for Maya Richardson, with her permission. Third, a complete audit of our hiring, promotion, and compensation practices, conducted by an independent third party. Fourth, my resignation as CEO of Whitmore Properties, effective at the end of this fiscal quarter. The press conference room erupted. Priya's jaw dropped. "Holy shit," Conrad raised his hand for silence. "I am 68 years old," he said quietly. "I have spent my entire adult life building this company. But I have also spent my entire adult life benefiting from a system that works for people who look like me and against people who don't. And I am not the right person to lead Whitmore Properties into a future where that system no longer exists." He folded the paper. "Miss Richardson, I cannot undo what my family did to you. But I can make sure it never happens to anyone else. I hope that counts for something. He walked away from the podium without taking questions. Maya stared at the screen. Priya whistled low. Damn. Did not see that coming. Neither did I, Maya admitted. Her phone buzzed, a text from her father. Are you watching this? Yeah, she typed back. Thoughts? Maya stared at the screen for a long moment. I think he means it, she typed. But meaning it isn't enough. We'll see if he follows through. And if he doesn't, Maya smiled. Then I'll make sure everyone knows that too. Wednesday afternoon brought the biggest revelation. Maya was in the campus library trying to catch up on the week of coursework she'd missed when her phone rang. Unknown number. Again, she almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Maya Richardson. Miss Richardson, this is Marcus Webb from the Department of Justice. Maya sat up straighter. Though, I'm sorry, what? The Department of Justice, Antitrust Division. We've been reviewing the materials from your case, specifically the statements made by Chase Whitmore regarding Whitmore Properties' intended acquisition strategy for Titan Global. It took Maya second to process what he was saying. You mean the part where he admitted they were planning to gut the company? Precisely. Marcus Webb's voice was brisk, professional. Miss Richardson, what Mr. Whitmore described, acquiring a company for its technology with the intention of immediately dismantling it to eliminate competition. That's textbook anti-competitive behavior. And he confessed to it. On camera, in front of 400 witnesses. Maya's heart was pounding. Are you saying I'm saying we're opening an investigation into Whitmore Properties' acquisition practices? Based on preliminary review, we have reason to believe this isn't an isolated incident. Mr. Whitmore's statements suggest a pattern of predatory business practices designed to eliminate competition and establish monopolistic control over the commercial real estate market in the Northeast. Corridor, oh my God, we'd like to interview you as a witness. You, your father, and anyone else from Titan Global who was involved in the merger negotiations. Would you be willing to cooperate? Yes, Maya said immediately. Absolutely yes. Excellent. Someone from our office will be in touch within 24 hours to schedule a formal deposition. In the meantime, I need to ask you not to discuss this investigation publicly. Can you do that? Yes, sir. Thank you, Miss Richardson, and Maya, his voice softened slightly. What you did took courage. A lot of people would have let it slide. Would have taken the money and moved on. You didn't. That matters. He hung up. Maya sat in the library, staring at her phone. Priya appeared with coffee. You look like you just saw a ghost. Good ghost or bad ghost? The Department of Justice is investigating Whitmore Properties for antitrust violations. Priya's eyes went wide. What? Chase's confession. About planning to gut Titan Global. Apparently that's super illegal. Oh my God, Priya sat down hard. Maya. Do you understand what this means? They're in serious trouble. They're in insane trouble. Antitrust violations can carry criminal charges. We're talking prison time. We're talking the company being forcibly broken up. We're talking Priya grabbed Maya's shoulders. You didn't just embarrass them, you might have destroyed them. Like actually destroyed them. Maya thought about that, about Victoria's sneer. Chase's threats, Conrad's assumptions, about every person who'd ever looked at her and decided she was less than. She thought she'd feel triumphant. Instead, she felt tired. Good, she said quietly. The DOJ investigation leaked Thursday morning. The Wall Street Journal broke the story. Whitmore Properties under federal investigation for anti-competitive practices. The stock price plummeted. Down 47% in 4 hours. By Friday afternoon, Whitmore Properties had lost $1.8 billion in market value. 12 major tenants announced they'd be relocating when their leases expired. 8 board members resigned. The company's credit rating was downgraded to junk status, and Chase Whitmore was named as a target of the criminal investigation. Maya watched it unfold from her dorm room. She should have felt vindicated, victorious. Instead, she felt complicated. Her phone rang. Her father. Hey, Dad. Hey, baby, how are you holding up? I'm okay, tired, behind on homework. But okay. You see the news? Yeah, silence. You having second thoughts? Marcus asked gently. Maya thought about it, really thought about it. No, she said finally. They made their choices. They lived in a system that protected them from consequences for so long they forgot consequences existed. I just reminded them. You did more than that, baby. You change things. Did I? 3 other companies have reached out to Titan Global in the last 48 hours. Want to license your algorithm, legitimate deals, fair terms. No predatory clauses, he paused. You've also gotten scholarship offers from 4 different tech companies. Full ride, no strings attached. Maya's throat tightened. Seriously? Seriously. And Maya, the Rooney Foundation, you know, the big one that funds minority STEM students. They've tripled their annual grant budget, specifically cited your story as inspiration. That's $150 million in additional funding for kids who look like you, kids who are brilliant and hungry and just need someone to see them. Tears were burning behind Maya's eyes. That's... Wow, yeah, her father's voice was thick. Wow, so no, baby, you don't get to second-guess yourself. What you did mattered. It's going to keep mattering for a long time. Saturday brought the final blow. Maya was in her dorm room, finally catching up on her algorithm's homework, when Priya burst through the door. Turn on the TV, now. Maya grabbed the remote. CNN was showing footage of federal agents entering Whitmore Properties' corporate headquarters, boxes of documents being loaded into vans. Computers being seized. The Chiron read, Federal raid on WHITMORE properties, multiple arrest warrants issued. Oh my God, Maya breathed. The anchor's voice. We're getting reports that Chase Whitmore has been taken into federal custody on charges of conspiracy to commit fraud, anti-competitive practices, and obstruction of justice. His mother, Victoria Whitmore, has also been arrested on related charges. Conrad Whitmore has not been charged at this time, but is reportedly cooperating with investigators. Priya was screaming. Actually screaming. Maya, they're going to jail, actual jail? Maya couldn't speak. She watched the footage, Chase Whitmore being led out of the building in handcuffs. His face was pale, shocked. Like he couldn't believe this was happening to him. Victoria Whitmore was crying, mascara running down her face. She looked small, fragile. Nothing like the imperious woman who'd sneered at Maya's dress a week ago. The news anchor continued. According to sources familiar with the investigation, the DOJ has uncovered evidence of at least 14 separate instances where Whitmore Properties engaged in predatory acquisition practices designed to eliminate market competition. The investigation was reportedly triggered by statements made by Chase Whitmore at a corporate gala last Saturday, where he inadvertently confessed to planning to dismantle Titan Global Industries. Following a proposed merger, Priya muted the TV. Maya, her voice was serious now. Are you okay? I don't know, Maya admitted. You know this isn't your fault, right? They did this to themselves. I know. Do you? Maya looked at her roommate. I keep thinking about that moment, she said quietly. In the ballroom, when Victoria asked me to clean up the spill. I had a choice. I could have smiled and walked away, could have been the bigger person, could have let it go. But you didn't. No, I didn't. Maya's voice was steady. And because I didn't, because I refused to make it easy for them, the whole house of cards collapsed. Their whole corrupt system, all of it, gone. Good, Priya said fiercely. Is it? Maya looked at the TV, at Chase's handcuffed wrists, at Victoria's tears. They're human beings, terrible human beings who did terrible things. But still human. So I'm not sure what I'm supposed to feel right now. Priya sat down next to her, put an arm around her shoulders. You're supposed to feel however you feel, she said quietly. You're allowed to be complicated about this. You're allowed to feel relief and guilt and triumph and sadness all at once. You're allowed to be human too. Maya leaned against her friend. Thanks, she whispered. They sat in silence watching the news coverage, and Maya thought about consequences, about choices. About the moment she decided she was done making herself smaller to make other people comfortable. She didn't regret it. But she understood now what her father had meant about making powerful enemies. She'd made enemies, all right. She'd just made sure they couldn't hurt anyone else ever again, 3 months later. Maya stood in the MIT lecture hall presenting her final project for advanced algorithms. The room was packed, not just her classmates, faculty members had shown up, graduate students. Even a few people from the computer science industry who'd heard about the girl who broke a real estate empire. Maya's presentation was on algorithmic bias, specifically. How to design systems that account for human prejudice without perpetuating it. She didn't mention the Whitmore family by name. She didn't have to. When she finished, the room erupted in applause. Professor Zhao approached her afterward. He was a small man, Japanese-American, with a reputation for being impossible to impress. "Miss Richardson," he said, "that was exceptional work. Thank you, Professor. I've been teaching this course for 23 years. I've never seen a student tackle algorithmic bias with such." He paused, searching for the word. "Such personal authority, you didn't just understand the theory. You understood the stakes." Maya's throat tightened. "I've lived the stakes, sir." "I know," his expression was kind. "I also know you've been offered positions at 6 different tech companies. Have you made a decision?" "Not yet." "Well, when you do, I hope you'll consider staying in academia. We need more voices like yours, more people who understand that code isn't neutral. That algorithms have consequences," he smiled. "You'd make an excellent professor someday." After he left, Maya checked her phone, 17 new messages. One from her father. "Board approved the expansion. Titan Global is opening 3 new offices. We're hiring 200 people. This is because of you, baby." One from Jennifer Walsh at 60 Minutes. "Your segment aired last night, 14 million viewers, highest rated episode this season. Call me if you want to do a follow-up." One from Rebecca Chen at the New York Times. "Just won a Pulitzer nomination for the piece about you. Thank you for trusting me with your story." One from an unknown number. "Miss Richardson, this is Sarah Martinez from the Obama Foundation. President Obama would like to speak with you about your work. Are you available for a call next week?" Maya stared at that last one for a long time. Then she called her father. "Dad, hey, baby." "What's up? President Obama wants to talk to me." Silence. Then, "Of course he does," Maya laughed. "This is insane." "No," Marcus said. "This is what happens when you refuse to accept the world as it is and fight to make it what it should be. You get people's attention, important people." "I'm scared," Maya admitted. "Good. Fear means you understand the stakes, but don't let it stop you." Her father's voice was firm. "You've earned this, Maya, every bit of it. Don't you dare shrink now." The phone call with President Obama happened on a Tuesday afternoon. Maya sat in her dorm room, heart pounding as the call connected. "Is this Maya Richardson?" His voice was unmistakable. "Yes, sir, Mr. President. Please call me Barack. I wanted to reach out personally because your story, what you did, what you built, it matters. It's the kind of innovation and courage that this country needs more of." Maya couldn't speak. "I've read about your algorithm," President Obama continued. "About how you created something that could have made you wealthy, but instead chose to use it as a tool for accountability. That's real leadership, Maya. That's character." "Thank you," she managed. "I also want you to know that what happened to you, what the Whitmore family did, that's not acceptable. It's a symptom of deeper systemic issues that we've been fighting for generations. And the fact that you didn't let them silence you, that you stood up and said, 'No, not today, not anymore,' that's going to inspire a lot of people." "I hope so," Maya said quietly. "It already has. The Michelle Obama Foundation has reached out to your father about partnering on a STEM initiative for young women of color. We want to use your story with your permission as a centerpiece for the program. Show girls like you that they belong in these spaces. That their voices matter." Tears were streaming down Maya's face. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, absolutely." They talked for 20 more minutes about education, about innovation, about the responsibility that comes with visibility. When the call ended, Maya sat in silence. Then she opened her laptop and pulled up a document she'd been working on for weeks. "Breaking the Algorithm: How One Line of Code Exposed an Empire," a memoir by Maya Richardson she started typing. 1 year later, the book was a New York Times bestseller. The scholarship fund Conrad Whitmore had established, now managed by an independent board after his resignation, had awarded $50 million to 847 students. The DOJ investigation had resulted in the conviction of Chase Whitmore, sentenced to 8 years in federal prison for fraud and conspiracy, and Victoria Whitmore, 3 years for obstruction of justice and conspiracy. Conrad Whitmore had been granted immunity in exchange for testimony against his son and extensive cooperation with regulators. Whitmore Properties no longer existed. The company had been forcibly broken up and sold off in pieces. The Whitmore name, once synonymous with real estate power, was now a cautionary tale. Titan Global Industries was thriving. The company had expanded to 6 cities and 600 employees. Marcus Richardson had been named CEO of the Year by Fortune magazine. And Maya Richardson, 20 years old, MIT junior, was giving a keynote speech at the Grace Hopper Celebration of Women in Computing. The audience was 15,000 people. Maya stood on the stage looking out at the sea of faces. Women, girls, people who looked like her, people who'd been told they didn't belong. "A year ago," she began, "someone looked at me and decided I was invisible, decided I was less than. Decided my presence in a space was so unlikely that the only explanation was I must be staff." The audience was silent. "And I had a choice. I could have made myself smaller. Could have apologized for existing, could have walked away and let it go." She paused. "I chose differently." She told them the story, not all of it, the book had those details, but enough. The ballroom, the confrontation, the algorithm, the consequences. "Here's what I learned," Maya said. "Power doesn't give itself up, it has to be taken. And the tools we build, the code we write, the systems we design, those aren't neutral. They're as biased or as just as we choose to make them." She looked out at the audience. "You belong here. All of you, and when someone tells you otherwise, when someone looks at you and sees a mistake instead of a miracle, I want you to remember something." She smiled. "You're not the mistake. The system that told them you don't belong, that's the mistake, and you have the power to break it, to build something better, to refuse to shrink." The applause was deafening. After the speech, Maya walked backstage. Her father was waiting. "Proud of you, baby," he said, pulling her into a hug. "Thanks, Dad. You know what I realized today?" "What?" "Victoria Whitmore was right about one thing." Maya pulled back, eyebrows raised. Marcus smiled. "You did make a scene at that gala, a big one. And thank God you did, because some scenes need to be made, some tables need to be flipped, some systems need to be broken." He squeezed her shoulder. "Never apologize for taking up space, Maya. The world needs you to take up all the space you can. So, here's my question for you. If you were in that ballroom that night, if you had your phone out, if you were watching this unfold in real time, what would you have done? Would you have recorded, shared the video, said something? Or would you have looked away? Because here's the thing, moments like this happen every single day. Maybe not at billionaire galas, maybe in your office, your classroom, your neighborhood. Someone being dismissed, diminished, told they don't belong, and you have a choice, you always have a choice. Maya Richardson chose not to shrink. She chose to stand up, to speak out. To use every tool at her disposal, her intelligence, her code, her voice, to demand accountability. And she changed the world, not because she's superhuman, but because she's human. And she refused to accept injustice as inevitable. You can do that too. If you've experienced something like this, if you've been told you don't belong, if you've been underestimated or dismissed or made invisible, I want to hear your story. Share it in the comments. Let's build a record of these moments. Let's make sure they can't be ignored. And here's something you might have missed. Go back to the 6:23 mark of this video. Watch Victoria Whitmore's face when Maya first says her last name. See that micro-expression, that split second of recognition before she commits to the lie? She knew. On some level, she knew she'd made a mistake. And she doubled down anyway. That's what privilege does. It tells you that even when you're wrong, you can't lose. Maya proved that wrong, and so can you. Hit subscribe if this story moved you. Share it if you think someone needs to hear it. And remember, the algorithm Maya built was powerful, but the real power was in her refusal to be silent. Use your power, break the system, build something better.